All right, hi guys. So I'm going to do the practice problem where you are finding the slope and then you are writing an equation once you find the slope. I'm going to be using the example graph on the slide. I just don't have the copy of it here, but I'm going to write down the actual points. So one of our points is the -3, 3, and then the second point is 3, 1. So the first thing that I told you guys to do, if we follow our step, is first we must find the slope. So to find the slope, we are using again our equation, our slope equation, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, and that's going to give us our slope. So we're going to plug it in, and if it helps you, you can do label so that you don't get confused. And once you label it, so my y2 is at -1. Remember, it has a negative right there. And then y1, which is just 3, over x2, which is 3, minus the x1, which is a -3. And again, we know that when we have two negatives, they become a positive. So that's the first thing I'm going to do right quick so that I don't forget to change that. So now I have -1 minus 3. That gives me a -4. And I have 3 plus 3. That gives me a 6. It's going to be negative, but we can simplify this because both numbers are divisible by 2. So we got 2/3. So -2/3 is our slope. So now we know our slope. So if we look at our equation, y equals mx plus b, our slope is in front of our x. So now once we have our slope, we are going to pick one set of points in your line. So we can pick any. I'm going to pick the first set of points first. And we're going to use these set of points to give us our equation. So once you have the set of points you picked, you're going to label it for your x and your y, which we have already done. And so then you are going to plug those values along with your slope on your y equals mx plus b equation. So now we're going to plug in what we have, the information that we have. So far we have our slope, which we gathered from using the slope formula, so -2/3. We also have a y, because we're using our first point, and our y is 3. And we also have our x, which is -3. So this fraction is going to be multiplied by 3. So when we multiply fractions, remember you just put a 1 over the -3 because that's how a whole number should look like. So -2/3, I'm multiplying times -3 over 1. So then I get a 3. And then -2 times a -3 gives me a +6 because when we multiply two negative numbers, we get a positive. So then 6 divided by 3 gets me that 2. Cool. So now that we solved that, we have 3 equals 2 plus b. And now what we're doing is we're solving for our b because we don't know our b. And we need to know our b so we can have our full equation. So the way we do it is that when we solve for a variable, and we think back to our Algebra 1 knowledge, what we're doing when we solve a variable is that we want to leave that variable alone. So we got to get rid of that 2. The 2 here is positive, so the opposite of adding something is subtracting it. So I'm going to subtract that 2, and then my b equals 1. So now I'm not done. I'm almost done. So I'm going to rewrite my equation now with my b value. So my y, it could be anything. My slope we had figured out is -2/3, right? And then x, whatever that x value will be, plus that 1, because now we have our b value. So our equation would be y equals -2/3 x plus 1.